miraculously the tasks still get done.
Yeah.
And also lean on other people, right? Don't be afraid to delegate in your team.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask your partner for some help. Don't be afraid to get the kids to do something.
Right.
Lean on other people. You don't have to do this alone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sharice Williams Show, the only podcast created for the highly conscious, high-impact nurse-turned-entrepreneur looking to create, launch, and scale a wildly profitable holistic health coaching and consulting business from a place of ease and flow while also optimizing your wellness and vitality naturally. Y'all, I cannot wait to really hop into this topic today. It's a much needed discussion, and I cannot wait to introduce to you the incredible guests that we get to have the discussion with. So let me just share with you. Today, we're going to be talking about enjoying more spaciousness in your life through the art of creating herbal teas. I'm so excited. So let me share with you who we have with us today. Oh my gosh, a phenomenal medical herbalist, mindset coach, and creator of the Project Joyful podcast. She helps exhausted professionals regain their energy by combining plant medicine and neuroscience-informed coaching. You guys, it is none other than Tracy Tutty. Hey, Tracy.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I just can't wait to be talking to you, as you know.
I'm so excited. And so tell us a little bit more about Tracy. Who was Tracy? I mean, we know you're a medical herbalist, but who else? Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I live in New Zealand now. I'm originally from New Zealand, but I lived in the UK for 20 years, and that's where I trained as a medical herbalist at a BSc in health sciences. I'm also a corporate woman, so accountant by trade, herbalist by love. My entrepreneurial journey, a lot of that has been working those two identities side by side. So, I'm really excited to be talking about that today.
Oh, that is so awesome. And it's so timely too, because I know a lot of our listeners are in that duality, right? They are still working either, clinically or at the bedside, whatever the case may be, as they are transitioning and as they are building out their holistic health coaching business, or just business in general. So they are definitely nursepreneurs or clinicianpreneurs. I think I just made that up. But so I love that, you understand that, having that duality. And so you guys, let me just start off by saying Tracy and I met each other, I don't know, probably a month or two ago at the time of this.
It feels longer, doesn't it? It feels like we've known each other forever.
It does. And I was immediately attracted to her for just her personality. It was just an attraction. Let's just say that. I know that might sound awkward, but it is what it is. So, and then this is before I knew anything really about her. And then when I found out that she was a medical herbalist, I'm like, oh, girlfriend. Oh, you're my bestie at this point. So I love what you do. I love that you have really leaned into that and have helped so many people. So share with me, or share with us, really what it was like as you were both feet in both worlds, as a accountant, and then also working in your clinic.
Yeah, it's an interesting transition because, when you first qualify, especially, you've got that impetus to get out there and get going. And there's a lot of rush and a lot of hustle. And when I look back on it, I wish I'd taken more time before starting as a herbalist. So I had a Saturday practice in London, in Crouch End, actually, if anyone knows London. I had a Saturday practice for a long time. So I had a Monday to Friday job that was really full on because I was leading finance teams. I was a financial controller. And then I'd do my Saturday clinic on the side. And the clinic was really busy, which was great. But it meant that I had a really busy life because Monday to Friday, I was full on in my so-called day job, the one that pays the rent. And then on Saturday, I was doing what I loved, but I was seeing my patients on a Saturday because I had an IBS clinic. So you can imagine how busy that was.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. And then filling my herbal prescriptions on a Sunday because, of course, every herbal prescription is completely bespoke to the patient.
Sure.
So it meant that I was basically working 7 days a week. So even though I loved it, I did get burnt out by it.
Mm. And that's so real. That is so, so
Mm.
real. And I think that's why you are the best person to speak about creating spaciousness, because it didn't sound like you had much at the time.
I had none. And I was talking to my patients about work-life balance and building more space into your life and taking the day off once a week, all the things that actually between you and me and all of these lovely people listening to us, I wasn't doing myself.
Gosh, you know what? That's a whole thing right there. The importance of being in integrity with your work, and at the same time, because I know a lot of people that will say, and I've had this conversation, and I've heard this conversation so many times. Well, I'm not exactly doing exactly what I'm teaching my clients, so I can't do it yet until I get myself all the way together. And so I definitely want to make that distinction, because it's one thing. Can we just be clear? You're never going to be all the way together. Let's just start there. If you're waiting for yourself to be all the way together, whatever that means for you, that's a little tricky trick that your mind is playing on you. You're never going to be ready. Now,
you're always a work in progress.
You're always work in progress. And can we just say this? There are no upper limits to health. You don't make it to, health or to the pinnacle. I'm like, okay, I made it. Now I can start. No, there's no upper limits to health. Because I hear that all the time. Well, I'm not where I want to be yet in terms of my weight, or I'm not, my sleeping pattern's still off. So how can I tell people to, that, we need to sleep, or all the things that we say. And I get it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the world needs you, right? Like, if you're called to be a practitioner, to be a clinician, then there is a part of you that knows that the world needs you.
Yeah.
And, we get into this sneaky resistance where we're like, oh, I'm not quite at my optimal weight, or oh, I'm not quite doing this, or I'm not quite doing that. But those are the things that make you human.
Yeah.
And those are the things that help your patients to relate to you. And in my book, it's perfectly okay to talk to your clients, to your patients, if that's appropriate, about where you are in your journey, because all you need to be in your journey is just a few steps ahead of the person you're helping.
So true. A few steps ahead. I heard this many, many, many years ago, and always stuck with me. And it was the analogy of even a fifth grader can teach a kindergartner how to tie their shoe. You don't have to have gone to college. You just have to be, to your point, a few steps ahead, and you can lead them. So it is okay to be a work in progress as you are healing the world, helping to heal the world.
Providing you're doing the work, right?
Right, providing you're doing the work. Yeah, that's right. And that's why I wanted to add that caveat. It's one thing if you're intentionally, like, I'm not doing anything that I'm going to say that, that I'm teaching my clients. And I find that that's usually not the perspective. Typically it's, I'm in the process of doing the work. And so I feel like I should wait until I'm done, and there's no done. Let's just be clear. There's no done. Yeah.
There's always levels.
There's always levels. So I love that you said they need you. The world needs you now. And it's so true. It makes you relatable. And I remember, do you know I can't remember if we had this conversation. Do you know who Lisa Nichols is from The Secret?
No.
Secret. Okay. Well, I remember I went to a Lisa Nichols conference, and I remember I ended up sitting, I was like in the VIP section. I ended up sitting next to Lisa Nichols, business coach. Lisa Nichols has been on Oprah. She's been, several time, seven figures, and New York bestseller several times. Anyway, bottom line is I'm sitting next to Lisa Nichols, business coach, unbeknownst to me. We have this conversation. I was telling her what all I wanted to create. And she was, but I was like, but I feel like I'm not quite there yet,
Yeah.
And she said, just take them on the journey.
Yeah, nice.
Take them on right?
Yeah,
and
nice.
So that being said, let's just hop back into spaciousness. How did you recognize that you needed to create spaciousness? And then what are some of the things that you can share with our audience to help them create some spaciousness in their life? And why is it even necessary?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed was that, so I'm lucky, right? Like a lot of clinicians, I'm lucky in that I have a lot of tools in my toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was quite good at putting a Band-Aid on by taking the adaptogen herbs or doing the mindfulness practice and doing the little bits along the way. And so what that meant was that my energy was enough as opposed to optimal.
Oh my God. Can you say that again?
My energy was enough as opposed to optimal.
And I know that a lot of people listening to this can relate to that wholeheartedly. And that's an important distinction to make on so many levels. Just settling for enough in many areas of our lives, right?
Yeah.
But so we won't even go there. That's a whole nother conversation. But realizing that your energy was just enough, but it wasn't optimal.
Yeah. And how you tell is that on Monday, you start with like really great energy, high energy. The world's your oyster. When you're in that space, everything just falls into place, right? Just like you're just dancing with the unfolding of life, as my teacher says.
Mm-hmm.
But by like Friday, Saturday, the energy was quite low. And then I would do the things that I did to boost my energy again. So I'd start on Monday, high vibe, and then I'd gradually reduce throughout the week. For me, that's a telltale sign about needing to build more spaciousness into your life, because what happens when we're stressed is we don't realize how stressed we are. We think that's normal.
Yeah.
And so we carry on at that level until one day the drink bottle hits us on the ankle and we suddenly feel the surge of energy that we haven't felt in 6 months because we're living on adrenaline.
Right.
Or if you let it carry on even further, you wake up one morning and you just don't have the energy to get out of bed. Both of those have happened to me. So I'm a slow learner.
Well, thank goodness you learned, though. My goodness. But you're so right. You're so right. Because we've been taught to kind of just push through. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Push through, keep going, push through. And our bodies are very resilient. However, even our bodies have a
limit.
A limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the things that we need to start introducing is this idea about space. And it's really interesting because you know how we talk about luxuries in life?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like spaciousness has become the new luxury item.
Yeah.
Because whenever I talk about it, everyone's like,
Exactly. Yes. Forget the designer handbags, forget the this and that. Just time and space to just be.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I love that we are starting as a society, I think, to shift a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. The conversations now are starting to happen more. But you and I are so on the same page about it's a much needed, it's kind of thought of as a luxury, but it's a much needed component of our lives. Whether we're entrepreneurs or not, but since we are entrepreneurs, it's so necessary.
So necessary.
Yeah.
And it starts with the little things, right? It starts with making a promise to yourself that is an unbreakable promise that you're going to take one day out a week.
Yeah.
Just one day. In the beginning, it's really hard. You're like, oh, but I just got to check that email. Oh, I've just got to do that.
Yeah.
And for all you parents and caregivers out there, one day off a week can be taking the kids to the beach or to the park or, doing family connection time.
Yeah.
As long as it's something that brings you joy, creates that space, that peace, that connection in your life.
Yeah.
Then that can be included in your day off. So
sure. So
I'm not saying you have to ignore the kids for a day.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But what
Get out your house today, kids. Mom's having a day out.
I love it. But what I'm understanding you to say is doing something that truly refills your cup.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever that may be. And it's going to look different for everybody. But finding something, doing something intentionally that refills your cup and making it a non-negotiable is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Because there's always things to do.
Yeah. And for all those super responsible people out there that go, oh, well, I'll just check like 1 or 2 emails on a Sunday.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Because here's what happens when you check that email. Your mind wants to help you solve problems, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a meaning-making machine. So you check that email, you're right back at work.
Yeah. No matter, it's like we can disillusion ourselves. But I think the best way to protect ourselves from ourselves is, like you said, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll it'll be there when, I always say it'll be there when you get there. When you get back,
Yeah.
it'll be there. Yeah. And okay. So taking one day a week, make it a non-negotiable. What do you say? Because I know there's someone listening right now that they're like, that's not possible. I've got too many responsibilities. It's not even feasible. That sounds good, but nope, can't do it.
You can build up, is what I say to those people. So the goal is one day a week, and you will get there. You will get there. Or get some help, get a mindset coach or a mind magician or someone who can help you build that space into your life. You don't have to do it alone. Start small if one day is too much. Okay, so it's going to be 3 hours. But really important that you don't check your email in the rest of the time that you're not taking time out.
Yeah.
And then put a plan in place about how you can build on that, because you'll be surprised, because, I've worked with a lot of high achievers, especially, who just, there's no way I could take a day out. No way. So they start with a half a day, because there's no way they can take a halfway. It's like, well, just play with it. Just try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Just give it a go, but give it your all. They take that half day out and they're like, oh my goodness, on Monday, I just had like so much more energy. I only needed 3 coffees, not 5 coffees.
Progress.
Yeah,
Progress. Yeah. I love that. And I love that you said start somewhere. Oftentimes we'll get great little nuggets and pieces of advice, but because it wasn't necessarily presented the first time, in a way that we could wrap our head around it, we toss it instead of looking at it the way you said, what can I do? Not, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. No. Hold on. But what can you do? What can you do? And I'm sure you would agree with this, Tracy. The more time that we intentionally use to refill our cup, the better we're able to serve others. The better, because we're all here to make an impact.
Totally.
Right? And so we think that we can't afford. Not we. I know you and I are on the same page, but oftentimes the mindset is, the thinking is that I can't afford to take a day off, 3 hours, whatever the case may be. I can't afford it, but really, you can't afford not to. For the very reasons that you said. I mean, you're either going to end up adrenal fatigued, right? I mean, and so many other things we won't even go into, the myriad of other illnesses and dis-ease that will ultimately manifest when you're not taking time for you to refill your cup.
Totally.
And creating that spaciousness. Yeah, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, for all those people who have those lists of never-ending tasks, the other thing to bear in mind is, the understanding that our tasks will fill the amount of available time we have. So you reduce the available time for tasks. Miraculously, the tasks still get done. Yeah. And also lean on other people, right? Don't be afraid to delegate in your team.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask your partner for some help. Don't be afraid to get the kids to do something.
Right.
Lean on other people. You don't have to do this alone.
You absolutely do. Yeah. So I love that. And so how else were you able to create spaciousness when you needed it the most? We always need it. We always
One
need
of the biggest changes I've found is, like, I used to, when I was having my breakfast, for example, I'd shovel my food in, and then I'd be thinking about what I've got to do for the day, and I'd be getting into the tasks. And, when I'm having a cup of tea, it's like having a cup of tea, but one mind's on the next thing that I've got to do. And so what I've started doing, and this is quite a new thing because I do like my lists.
A girl after our own heart, us high achievers, we love our lists, and I'll just say that because the majority of my audience are high achievers. That's right. But yes, go ahead.
that comes from ticking stuff off. You're my people.
Yes, for sure.
So one of the things that it started with, I had to really force myself to do this, right? This wasn't an easy thing. But like when I was having my cup of tea, I would sit in my office. So I've created like little spots of beauty in my office, whether it's like a collection of crystals or a plant or a nice arrangement of books. Like there's little spots throughout the room. And what I've started doing is that when I have my cup of tea, I sit on the couch or I sit on the chair. Wherever I'm sitting, I've made sure that there's something in my line of sight where I'm like, oh, that's really pretty. Oh, I like that. Oh, that looks good. And so I'm enjoying my cup of tea. I'm sensing my cup of tea, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later. I'm also tuning into my body. And then I'm taking in something beautiful or something that makes me feel good. You know, we talk about stacking those positive emotions. So I've created little areas that when I look at them, they fill me with joy.
Yeah. I love that. And I can't, that's so I guess understated, but so it's the little things that make such a huge difference. And to your point, you were talking about your tea. I love a chai, right? And I know. And when I make my chai, and I didn't always do this, like you just said, this is actually rather recently, but I would say since January, really. Yeah. But I've taken the time to enjoy the ritual of making the tea.
Yes.
And not just, go. But literally, holding my mug and feeling the warmth and really being present instead of, okay, what do I need to do next? What's next? No. We're going to, it doesn't take any extra time. I always say this. It doesn't take extra time. What it does require is presence.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, holding that warmth, and even the electric stirrer. I love just watch it do its thing, and really just being present to enjoy it, and sitting someplace. I love what you said, that you have these little mini areas around your house, and this doesn't require you to have a huge house or anything. It's really just a matter of being intentional. And in one spot you have crystals, or maybe in another spot you have a candle, or in another spot you have I'm a sensory girl. I have this beautiful turquoise. Speaking of turquoise, your earrings, I have this beautiful turquoise, super soft terry cloth blanket that is like a throw that's over the couch, or that's on the edge of the couch, and I will get my chai and I will sit there and I'll just enjoy that moment. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's my 5 minutes and I'm fully there. I am there.
I love it.
So yeah.
The best medicine is the one you make yourself, right?
What'd you say?
The best medicine is the one you make yourself.
That is so true. So true. And now, speaking of medicine, you are the medical herbalist, and I know that your passion is teas, and so which is medicine. And so let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of your maybe some favorite teas that you like to incorporate into your routine as you are creating this spaciousness?
Let's talk about that.
Talk about tea.
So a little bit of a confession. Why I talk about herbal tea so much is that for a large part, and particularly when I was first training as a herbalist, I didn't really like herbal tea.
Really?
I'd had so many herbal teas that were just coloured water, and I couldn't see the point.
Got it.
And it's you read the packet, sounds amazing, smells amazing, and you taste it, and it's like, oh,
not so amazing.
That.
Right. I love this.
And then I went to a herbalist, actually, and she made me a tea, and I was like, oh, here we go. But I thought, well, it's part of this whole this medicine that she's making for me, so I better endure it.
Endure. Wow, that's a strong word. I love this. Like, tell us how you really feel. Love it.
And then I made the tea. I took a sip. It was amazing. It filled me up. It satisfied me. It just opened me up, grounded me. It was just it was so good.
Okay, now I know you've piqued my interest. I know everyone listening. What was it? What was in the tea? Or what kind of tea? Or what was it?
Well, here's the thing, right? When you have a tea that's made by herbalists, they know how to blend the herbs. And it's just like, when you smell a fine perfume, or you taste a really tasty wine, or when you inhale that perfect cup of coffee, or you let your favorite chocolate melt in your mouth. It's all those stacking of flavors that creates the satiety. So you have your base notes, your middle notes, your top notes. And it all comes together as something that's just divine.
I love it. And what I'm hearing is, which is totally my jam, it's the blend, the marriage of science and art, because it's
Yes.
very artful, but definitely scientific in so many. It's like chemistry, and it's as I hear the perfect blend or the marriage or dancing between the art and science.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we're blending our herbs, we always want to ground the herbs. And this is the biggest mistake that
Mm.
people make when they're trying to make their own herbal blends is they don't, no one wants to put something bitter in the tea. Oh no, we don't want that. We don't like bitter things in our diet.
Yeah.
And so they leave it out. And what happens is that the tea lacks substance because it doesn't have that grounding effect within it. And this grounding effect, it doesn't have to be super bitter herbs. It doesn't need to be your gentian or your burdock root or your dandelion root.
Oh, burdock root is. Oh yeah, dandelion root. Yeah, that's pretty bitter.
That's pretty bitter. But if you just put like a
Magical,
little
but bitter.
smidgen, it's
A
enough to
smidgen.
ground it. Yeah, just a little bit. It's enough to ground it. But you can
Okay.
also use your other roots, right? So licorice is really sweet, but in the right blend, it can serve the purpose of grounding it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. And just
Yeah.
a disclaimer, you guys, we're not giving any medical information. And one thing that you really want to be conscientious of as it relates to licorice is if you have an elevated blood pressure, you
Yeah.
definitely want to stay clear of
Leave it out.
licorice. Yeah, for sure.
Not the one for you.
Yeah.
My favorite base herb for herbal teas is dandelion root.
Okay. Why is
Yeah,
that?
just a little bit
Mhm.
because it's got a really nice rounded flavor to it, and it's actually got notes within it as well. So it's not like completely bitter.
Mhm.
So you put just a tiny bit in, even like a teaspoon, because dandelion root takes up a lot of space on the spoon. So a teaspoon of dandelion root, dried dandelion root, isn't actually a lot of dandelion root. And bear in mind that that's the other thing. It's about the part of the plant that you're using as well. So dandelion root is around supporting the liver and the gallbladder. So if you have liver or gallbladder problems, you want to be talking to a herbalist before you start experimenting with herbs. If you are using the leaf of dandelion, it's a potassium-sparing diuretic. So, great for high blood pressure, but you want to be monitoring that high blood pressure. You have to drink a lot of dandelion tea to have an impact. Good luck to you for doing that.
Yeah, right.
But
No,
it's also about using the right part of the plant for the theme of the tea as well.
Ooh, talk to us about that. The theme of the tea.
So each tea has a theme, whether it's energizing, whether it's detoxifying, whether it's relaxing, calming. One of my favorite themes of coming together, I'm all about nervine, so soothing and calming the nervous system, especially in these days when we've got so much going on.
Oh gosh, we need it more than
We
ever.
need it so much. And my favorite combination du jour, I'll say, because it depends on who's walking through my door as to what my favorites are. But it's that combination of wild green oat, skullcap, a little bit of rose, and then ground it with some nice warming dandelion root. And what that does is it just helps you release the thoughts and just feel calm. You can top it off with a little bit of lemon balm if you want a little lemony peak in there. But the rose also serves as those top notes in that blend. And then the main middle part is that skullcap, the Scutellaria latiflora, rather than bicalensis. And, that lovely combination of green oat, avena, sativa. Oh, it's just beautiful.
That sounds divine. Can I get some?
It's delicious.
I want that now. So we talked, so themes, we're staying on themes. And so helping to regulate your nervous system is one theme. Share with us a couple other themes, just to give them a little bit more context.
Yeah, so a detoxifying herb tea is how most people get introduced to herb tea, which I admire greatly because they're often bitter, but they're so powerful and they work. So if you're wanting, you get that sense, I feel like I need to do a detox. That's your body telling you that
you need to do a detox.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a detoxifying tea is a wonderful way to do that. Now, when a herbalist creates a detoxifying tea, we're actually using all of the systems of elimination. So this is why, when you're looking at a detox tea, you're seeing your nettle in there for the kidneys, and you're seeing something for the lungs. You're seeing, that liver and the gallbladder stuff happening in there. So it's bringing together one theme but different aspects of that thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, very powerful way to help heal your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're on medication where, the half-life's really important, so the timing of the dosage is really important,
mm-hmm.
then if you're wanting to do a detoxification program, do it with a professional.
For sure.
So because what happens is that, the body gets a little more efficient at eliminating, and so your medications will potentially be leaving your body a little quicker.
Eliminate it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so we've got detox, we've got soothing for our nervous system, energizing. Talk about first thing that comes to mind when I think energizing as it relates to tea is peppermint. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Yes.
It's a wonderful stimulating herb. Absolutely it is. And this is also where your adaptogens come in as well. So gotu kola is a wonderful herb. It's really good for...
I'm sorry, what is it?
Gotu kola, Centella asiatica.
Never heard of it. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's a wonderful herb because it's neuroprotective, so it protects the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, because it's bringing all of that blood flow up into the head, it's helping to improve memory. There's a lot of great research around it in relation to supporting dementia and Alzheimer's. And it's just a wonderful herb for if you've got a lot going on. So if you've got a lot going on, a little bit of gotu kola with a little bit of tulsi, which has got that nice basil-y flavor to it. Basil. Basil. Nice basil.
Holy basil. Now, how do you say it? Say it again.
Tulsi?
Tulsi, yeah. You said, I said basil.
Basil.
No, but how do you say basil?
Basil.
Basil. Okay, I can't even say it.
Basil.
Okay. Now that we've gone through all the pronunciations of basil or basil or basil. Anyway, so yes, also known as tulsi. Yes.
Yes. So you could use that to peak the taste, but it's very stimulating as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and again, you're grounding it with your nice foundation, whether it be dandelion or burdock. But yes, it's one to take in the morning.
Oh, so good. So good. Oh my gosh. I feel like I feel like we could talk for hours just about herbal tea. Really.
Oh, we're so good.
Oh my gosh. But, and I love the science behind it, right? I love that it's really getting back to our roots, even plant medicine. It literally is plant medicine. And oftentimes I think we've gotten to the point in society that we've gotten a bit disconnected from, like sometimes we see, tea. Yeah. Detox tea or whatever the tea is, but not really connecting it with, this is actually healing my body, and bitterness is for my liver, and I think we don't oftentimes make that connection. I'm glad we drink it, but I think it's even more powerful when we drink it intentionally and kind of and understand the herbs better.
Yeah, I love that. It's more than just because I shouldn't drink as much coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
And why? And yeah, I love that. Yes. And so, spaciousness, teas, love it. Any last tips on how to create spaciousness, or we can keep talking about teas if you want to, but so either way, any last thoughts on, or closing thoughts, I would say, on either.
I think in closing, I'd like to sort of circle back to your chai tea experience, because that's a wonderful example of creating spaciousness in your life, right? Like we talked about, the best medicine is the one you make yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in that space where you're like, what do you need today, body? What can I give to you? How can I help you?
Yes.
And you're like, you know what? I just need something that's going to chill me out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you've got your theme. Okay, I'm going to make a chilled out tea.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in that mindful process where you're assembling your ingredients, you're blending your herbs, and then you're making yourself that cup of tea. You take that wonderful cup with a covered lid on it so you can keep all those beautiful volatile oils in it. You take it into your special little corner where you can gaze at something beautiful, and you sip that tea. Imagine a world where we did that on a regular basis.
Even it's even as you're describing it, like I'm living it, I'm visualizing it in my head, and it's so peaceful, it's so calming. And
Yeah.
again, to your question, imagine if we all did that on a regular basis. Imagine even if we, yes, the whole experience that you just described, but imagine if on a regular basis we checked in with ourselves and said, "What do you need today, body?"
Mm.
That's one of the, as I'm working with my holistic health clients, that's one, and my business clients, now that I mention it, I'm always reminding them and encouraging them and inviting them to check in with themselves and
I love that.
honor what your body tells you. Because it's one thing to check in, like, okay, I need to calm, I need to chill out, but yet I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going though, right? So,
I've just got these 3 more things to do before I chill out.
Exactly.
Mm.
So checking in with yourself, asking your body what it needs, and then honoring that. I love that. So important. Important. I don't know what I'm saying. So important. So thank you for that. Thank you for reminding us to take that time to check in with ourselves, honor our bodies, and give ourselves that little create this. But it's not going to create itself. It's not going to create itself. So thank you for really bringing to the forefront the importance of intentionally creating that spaciousness. And thank you so much for educating us on the power of medicinal herbs. The power of herbs. Uh-oh, you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
I can. What were you saying? It looked like it was good, whatever you were saying.
I was just saying thank you so much for having me on and talking to me. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Oh my gosh, you're very welcome. And it's totally been my pleasure. And so I know that now that we have opened up this discussion and now that you've educated our listeners and me as well, further on herbs and the importance of herbs and the importance of creating spaciousness, if people want to connect with you, and I know you're in New Zealand, but if people want to connect with the beauty of social media, right? So if people want to connect with you, how do they find you, Tracy?
That's right. I'm in New Zealand, but the beauty of the world the digital world that we find ourselves in, we're never far away.
Never.
So the best way to connect with me is I have a podcast called the Project Joyful Podcast, where we talk about the art and science of living a joyful, fulfilled life.
Love it.
And if you're interested in finding out more about herbal tea, I am in the next month, there'll be a new course coming out, which is called The Secret Art of Creating a Tasty Herbal Tea.
Get out of here. I can't wait to take that. It's a course, you said? Is it a course?
It's an online course, and in there is something called organoleptic evaluation, which is a way of connecting with your herbs.
Love that. Thank you for putting that together.
My pleasure. So if you want to find out more about that, check out my website, www.tracytutty.co.nz for New Zealand.
Got it. I'll make sure that we have the team put that in the show notes, so it'll be easy for people to find you. And if I'm not mistaken, you have something really spectacular for our listeners in the form of a recipe book.
I do. I've created a recipe book. It's got 10 herbal tea recipes, and in there is a detoxifying tea, a relaxing tea, an energizing tea. And there's also a couple of recipes in terms of if you want to do other things with your tea as well, like hair rinses and bath bags and things like that. So if you're interested in getting your free herbal tea recipe book, just check out my website and it'll be on there. Or I'll send you the link.
I think you did send me the link. I'll put it in the show notes, or I'll have the team put it in your show notes. And yes, that is so awesome. And thank you so much for offering that to our listeners. That is an amazing gift. And I can't wait to view it and all of the things, because I'm a huge fan of tea, clearly. And so, Tracy, again, thank you for your time, your wisdom, all of the things. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you. Love you.
I love you. Oh my God, I love you so much, Tracy. And for the listeners, as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. And I'm so very grateful for you joining me here today for this episode. And I look forward to seeing you next week for another transformative episode here on the Cherise Williams Show. Bye for now.